Well, here we are with the push to 700. We're playing a 589 from Portugal, and we are playing the Caro Kann. He's brought his knight out here, and this is not the normal knight that you would see. Normally it's this one, or the pawn forwards, but we always play d5, move 2, and we're going to recapture that. This is probably the exchange Caro Kann if he puts his pawn on d4, which he hasn't. I would maybe consider pushing d4. A little strange, but what I want to do in this series is just try to get typical moves in. So I'm gonna not think about anything else. I'm just gonna put my pieces on the squares that I want them to be on. So that's a knight here, a bishop out to here, and a knight here. And so we can see now that he's played the pawn to d4, we're into a typical Caro Kann. This normally would happen with you know, pawn here, pawn here, pawn here, then the exchange, and then these knights coming out. So we've just transposed into it in a slightly different sort of way. I'm going to put my bishop on g4. Often, if you can put your bishop on g4 instead of f5, it's preferable in most variations. There's a couple exceptions, but in most variations, putting the bishop on g4 is good. Here he's captured my knight, so we'll just simply recapture that. And I'm looking to play my pawn up to the e6 square. And that will mean that our pawn chain here is stronger. He's captured the defender of my bishop, so we'll just recapture. I'm going to recapture with queen because I want to castle this way, and I don't want to have an open g file here against my king, which will be on g8. So let's just capture back with the queen. I think everything so far has made a lot of sense. There's nothing crazy going on in this game. And this knight is currently pinned to the queen. It can't move. I want to get my bishop out. I'm wondering what square is it best placed on. My opponent doesn't really have a bishop. So, you know, maybe coming here and looking at checkmate or something could be interesting, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe pushing c5 would be good. They take, and we kind of develop with a bit of tempo. But I do think bishop on d6 is probably the best diagonal for it. And we're going to try to make some threats, because as soon as I go here, queen to f4, I'm threatening to take on h2. I mean, obviously take here first, they capture, and then checkmate. We wouldn't be able to take this with the knight defending h2. So this is something I'm thinking about. We'll see what he does. I mean, if he does a slow move, like moving the rook to e1, I think moving in here will be quite strong. Okay, he's just attacking my bishop. This makes sense. Let's pull the bishop back. I don't really want to take here. Yes, he would take back, then I take, and he takes, and his pawns are doubled, but I think it's better if I can just have both of my bishops in this game. Noticing this knight is extremely weak. I want to play, yeah, queen to f4 now. And I think I'm going to be putting the bishop here, because if the knight takes, we can take back with pawn, kick the knight away, and then checkmate. So this looks really, really good. Probably he'll want to try to trade off queens or something. I'm expecting like a move like queen e3. It looks like a good way to trade off, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. Okay, so if I come here, knight captures, pawn captures, queen captures, and we don't have this move. So I want to get rid of this knight, but I just can't yet, which is a little frustrating. Maybe what we can do is just castle the king and try to activate the rooks maybe along the b file somehow, but I want to get all my pieces in the game. Going for quick attacks often fails. Now, if he does try to trade queens off at some point, we probably can, and then we can take this pawn, because that pawn does look really weak. So we'll probably be okay. All right, and I think he's already messed up. So my plan here is bishop, e4, and if knight takes, we take with the pawn, kicking this knight away, and then going in for checkmate. Otherwise, we're just going to capture here, and then checkmate. So he needed his queen and his rook defending here, so I think he's just losing. So he shouldn't move his knight. He should probably sack here. Okay, he's just taken a pawn. We're going to take the knight, and now we're threatening checkmate in one, and we'll see what our opponent plays. I have been putting 3 games from the 600 to 700 ELO rating range on the video that you're watching right now. If you want to see more games from the series that I have recorded but haven't uploaded to YouTube, I'm going to be putting them on my Patreon channel. So the link will be in the description, but I will be labeling them and putting them up on Patreon for those of you who just want extra content in this reading range of 600 to 700. I decided I was going to do that. I record it. I might as well upload it. So if you are interested, and it isn't paid, you don't have to pay for Patreon. Some of them will be paid, but most of them are free. So don't feel obligated. Okay, so how does he stop checkmate here? I don't think he can. Yeah, so he gives up his queen. So we are currently just up a whole queen, down a pawn. We will capture here. He's probably going to take this one, and then we'll take this one. So right now we're just pawn grabbing, I think. So let's just grab another one. Let's grab another one. Let's grab another one. And that will be checkmate with queen to g2. GG. Let's check the review, see how we did. Okay, we played with an 88% accuracy. Apparently we made one mistake here, or it was a miss. We could have just taken this for free. I instead went in for trying to go for a checkmate. I didn't even see that when he moved his queen, he blundered the knight. That is very obvious that I should have just taken that. But after this, he's in a lot of trouble and had to give up the queen. So pretty simple stuff. All right, let's jump into game 2. All right, here we have game 2 with the Caro Kann, and our opponent is a 645 from United States. And remember, second move is always d5 with the Caro Kann, no matter what they play. They've taken the pawn, we're going to recapture, and expecting d4 so we can get into a sort of main line. He's brought his bishop out here, which is very interesting. In the Caro Kann, your knight's always good on the c6 square, so we're going to just put the knight on c6. And let's see what he does. He short castles. Okay, I think we could break some Caro Kann principles. Normally you don't play the pawn to e5, but he doesn't have a pawn on d4, so I think just playing to e5 looks very good here. It allows our bishop to get active. This bishop's very active. It's never going to be stuck, trying to get back home when there's this pawn chain. 2 pawns in the center is just very good. So I think this looks fine. If he captures here, we're totally fine recapturing here. But this pawn will remain weak. So right now he is removing the defender of this pawn. So let's defend this pawn a second time. And maybe we can push it. I don't know. Might be an idea. But probably if we push and then he goes for this, he'd have 2 attackers on this knight. And that wouldn't have been fun. Okay, so I think now we're just going to try to keep a big center. And one thing to remember in all of your games, look at your pawns, and your pawns will tell you where you're attacking on the board. If we look at these 2 pawns, they're pointing in this direction. They're not pointing this direction. They're pointing this way. And so if they're pointing towards the king, that means we want to attack on that side of the board, wherever they're pointing. So both of our bishops are pointing this way. Both of our pawns are indicating that we want to attack this way. So right now we're feeling very good. Does this move pose any threats? Right now we can't capture it because it's defended by the bishop on c1, which is a little annoying. Our queen might want to come out here to h4. That looks like a really good square. I don't want to play f6 because then his queen can come in here with a check. And that looks kind of annoying. I mean, it probably is okay. I could probably go g6 and then he has to move or something. I don't know. But maybe just h6 here is decent. The knight has to move and then queen h4. It looks pretty strong. I'm going to go for this. And again, if he ever captures here, I'm just going to recapture with the pawn and keep my big black center. All right. I think taking here with the bishop looks pretty good because it forces doubled pawns here, an isolated pawn here, an open file against his king. I think that looks pretty nice. Should we take or should we just develop pieces? I think what I'll do is develop my queen. Queen on h4 looks pretty strong, actually. The knight can't come to f4 anymore now because we're defending that square 2 times. And none of his pieces really seem like they're in a great position to defend. And now when I take here, pawn takes, we actually win a pawn. Queen takes h3. Looks really good. This has all happened because I was able to take a big center, and my opponent didn't play the Caro Kann theory correctly. they should be playing that d4 move much sooner, and that wouldn't have allowed me to play e5. But if you can get d5 and e5 in, then you're going to have the center. You're going to have the 2 pawns in the center, and you're going to be controlling the game. So you can see I'm controlling the game because I have the big center. I know a lot of people have said that to me before, like if you control the center, you're going to be doing better, but I never really like actually thought about what that even means. And I think only more recently have I thought more about how important it is to control the center. It actually makes all your pieces come alive and the game just sort of flows. So it's definitely something to be pretty mindful of. We're just going to recapture here and our center is still totally fine. He should probably try to undermine it, you know, take here, we have to take here or something. I don't know. This just blocks his pawn in, so I don't think this is a fantastic move. Probably developing a piece is really good here, but before we do that, I think I would rather take this guy off. He has this move, no, pawn takes. I mean, probably knight f6 is good, but we could probably do it at any time. So let's just capture here first and then develop. Maybe we take this, I don't know. Right now his queen can't even defend because this pawn is such a good central pawn. He really can't develop anywhere. It's just like awful for him. Our knight's doing a good job of stopping his queen developing here as well. Although we could have just taken here and not developed the knight, but this is all totally fine. His knight is terrible here on these squares. He can't move to them really. I mean, he could come here. We just take. But let's threaten checkmate in one move. I think that seems like a good idea. Maybe we should have done that on the last turn. And he's already fallen for it. That's checkmate. Let's jump into the review, see how we did. Again, our opponents will get their rating back. Okay, we played with a 90.9 and we had 1 inaccuracy, which was knight f6. Like I said, I thought maybe we didn't need to do that. We could have just taken the pawn and threatened checkmate in 1. So there was no need for this knight jump. Although it was developing pieces, trying to play principled, but we didn't need to do it. Yeah, pretty good game overall. Let's jump into game 3. All right, here we have the Caro Kann game 3. We're going c6, and remember d5, whatever they do. It seems like a lot of opponents at this ELO reading range are going knight f3 on that next move. In the Caro Kann, often if they don't take the pawn or they don't push the pawn, we can take their pawn. And this is called the 2 knights attack. So we're going to take this pawn, and they have to capture back with this knight on c3. Now, this looks a little weird, but we play our knight to f6. And this can go into several different variations. If they jump to g5, this is called the alien gambit, which there's probably a lot of tutorials you can check out on YouTube. It's quite an annoying one to deal with, but basically you want to control the center. They can also go back here to g3, where I suggest h5, h4, and just annoy that knight. But here, the most common response for them is to take your knight. And in this position, you might be wondering, how do we take back this knight? Both moves are both theory. You can take with the g-pawn, but I suggest taking with the e-pawn. And this has essentially become the Tartakower variation, where we've taken with this pawn so that our bishop can get active. Unfortunately, our opponent has attacked with the queen, and we're supposed to block with the queen, but I recommend not allowing queens to come off, because in this variation, we want to go for checkmate, and it's much easier to checkmate with your queen still on the board. So we're going to play bishop to e7. We'll see how our opponent responds. But next, we want to get castled and get our bishop to d6. If both of our pieces can come to this diagonal and look down here, we're going to be very happy. Preferably queen on d6 and bishop on c7. So maybe bishop here, queen here, checkmate kind of things. So we'll see how our opponent plays. Moving the queen here for them is also a little awkward. So don't worry about taking a couple moves to do this, because it's taking them a couple moves to get their bishop active. So it's not a big deal. So you see, they've already had to move again. We're going to castle. This is one of the few Caro Kann variations where you're able to get castled super early. So this is fantastic. And queen is coming to d6. Not yet. First bishop here, then queen to d6. Okay, so he's moved the piece twice. Let's put our rook on e8 so that when our bishop moves, we might win their queen, which looks really nice. So they're not allowing that. They're going to castle here. Let's attack their queen with our rook. And again, we want bishop back here and queen here. This is sort of the setup we go for in this opening. We can probably start with this move. We could also think about getting our knight over to f8. It's a very good square for it to sit on. It can come over to g6. But I think what we'll do just for this game, we'll put the bishop on c7. It's a little weird that we're moving the bishop so many times, but getting the queen to d6 and looking at h2 is going to be very strong for us. Okay, they're not allowing us to come to the d6 square because you can see the knight's covering it. We can take that knight, but then the queen takes. And in this opening, we really don't want to trade too much. We want to be careful of trades because we want to go for checkmate. You need more pieces to checkmate. So because he's done this move, let's first just develop our knight. And if he moves his queen here, he's going to be looking at checkmate. So we do have to just be a little mindful of what he wants to do, but we should be okay. We can always push the pawn to g6. Okay, it looks like this is what he's going for. So g6, knight can jump here and our king can hide on g7. I think we're totally fine. This looks good for us. And our king's pretty comfortable on g7, I think. You know, he's just hiding out there. It looks good. So he's finally castled. We want to get our queen here. We're not able to yet. So let's first move the knight to f8. And now his knight can't really move because it's pinned and we're threatening to win this bishop or this knight in one move. We weren't able to take the knight because we are pinned. You know, you can't move the pawn and put your king in check, but now we're pinning this knight to the queen and we're attacking. So we're doing very well here. Okay, he's moved a piece, so we could just take this knight for free. I don't see it as a problem. I think we'll do this. And then next, we'll probably go queen to d6 and checkmate. That's one of our plans. It looks pretty good. And it's very easily stopped by g3. But probably what we can do is go h5, h4, and, you know, get rid of that pawn maybe. Or even, you know, knight out here and get rid of the pawn somehow. But we're going to try to just go for a checkmate. We have an extra piece, so we're pretty happy. All right, let's start with this move. Queen to d6. And if he pushes this pawn forwards to get his bishop out, maybe we can just play our knight. Okay, he's sacrificing his bishop. Kind of a pointless move. He really needs to play pawn to g3 because that's the only move I think that stops checkmate. I mean, he could also play the queen here, or he could move the rook, not here. Maybe rook here stops the checkmate. Then here and here, it's still checkmate. So yeah, he really only has g3. It's the only real move that gives him any hope, or blocking with the queen, where we would just trade because we're already up material. So everything is just completely winning here. Okay, this is not a good move because we can attack his queen. And now he has to go here. It's his only move. Okay, so he didn't go here. So now it's checkmate. All right, let's jump into the review and see how we did. Okay, the engine said we played with 84%, so we actually made a couple inaccuracies. Let's just check real quick here and see, what did we do wrong? Okay, trying to play for tricks here wasn't good. We should have pinned the knight to the queen. And yeah, going here, we're pinning the knight to the queen. He has to block this way and we take the queen. I didn't think about that. That's actually really good. Yeah, and if he moves the queen like here to defend the knight, then we could just take because we have two pieces attacking it. So we would have been totally fine here. So yeah, we did make a few slight inaccuracies. But we started playing good moves here. And checkmate was not far away. They were never winning, but we just didn't play it as perfectly as we could have. Guys, if you did enjoy this video, do check out the Patreon. I've got more Caro Kann videos, more Jabava London videos up there for free. You can just go check out. You just become a free member. Doesn't cost you anything. Hope you enjoy them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye for now.